Hey, what's up guys? Bishop's opening again. In the following video, which is going to be very short, I want to show you a spectacular win by white. A very well attack, and the guy was only 1700. Also, I'm going to give you like two tactical puzzles to solve here. So watch it out, be very careful, and stay tuned because this is going to be a very short video with two tactical puzzles, building up the attack and learning how to win your games with the bishop's opening. So let's go. White pieces had a German player, Miodrag. I found this game while I was showing to one of my students how to play the bishop's opening, and when they go with the bishop c4, so when they go with knight f6 or knight c6, it's pretty much the same. You go knight c3, knight f6, you always go for the bulletproof approach with d3, and they go bishop e7. This guy just went for f4. And by the way, for all of you, I'd like to stop here and to emphasize the importance of having the move f4. Why? Because that's the main difference between all those classic knight f3 opportunities and this one, where you just go with nothing else but f4. So it has a bit of Vienna opening, a bit of King's Gambit, but at the same time, it actually goes with like some sort of like hybrid Vienna King's Gambit Bishop's opening. So after you play f4, this guy decided to play with e takes f4. I just like to remind you of the fact that in my course, Butcher with the Bishop's opening, and that you can find on Chessable, you can go after d6, knight f3, castles with a beautiful f5 idea. Anytime they castle, you just go with this one, and the point of this one is nothing else. But when you go with this f5 idea, you're just locking the light square bishop. They can't do anything against it. And for example, now they just say, okay, but now you're mine. I'm going to win the bishop here. And you just say, I don't give a damn. So you just go with g4. And what's the point? When they play knight c4, for example, d takes c4, and they go knight g4, you just go rook g1. They go like this, bishop h6. They go like this, queen d2. You threaten bishop h7. In case they just defend a long castle, rook g3, rook g1, queen g2 going into the attack. And you just have an amazing amount of tactical abilities for one sacrificed pawn on the g file. This guy captured on f4 and wanted to avoid all these things. I just once again would like to point out white player was 1700, while black player was 2000 rated. After bishop takes f4, d6, knight f3, castles, castles. We have a very specific bishop's opening where you just need to know how to play these type of the games where they just go for e takes f4. Positions are relatively easy for playing with the white pieces, although they require some sort of like, I'd say, knowledge how to play shuffle around your pieces and where to move them. This guy went for bishop g4. White played queen e1 to go with this queen on g3. Black played queen d7. Nothing. Both of these guys are completing their development and, like deciding what to do and where to develop these pieces. Here, white went with bishop e3, a very well planned. He just wants to go with knight to d4. A point behind bishop e3 is that you always want to react with bishop f3, not with rook f3. That would be a mistake because of knight e5, and then you lose this bishop. But on any bishop f3, you would play g takes f3, in which case king goes on h1, and once again, by breaking the pawn structure, and you actually do it on purpose, you open the g file and try to take advantage of it and to go and pile up your pieces on the g file. So after bishop e3, this guy went for bishop h5. An idea of bishop h5 is double. First of all, he wants to oppose some potential ideas with the knight d4, knight f5 with the bishop on g6. And secondly, he would like to go with the knight g4 after the dark square bishop. White plays knight d4. Well, point is he's centralizing his pieces, taking advantage of not having the pawn on d4, and probably he would be very happy to play with these bishops like this pointing out on the king side and at a black's king very hardly. So this guy played knight e5. He threatens to win the light square bishop. Light square bishop is usually in the bishop's opening what is dark square bishop for London players in the London opening. By the way, very soon is coming step-by-step London opening for white. Be there. So after bishop e3, bishop g6. They go with the bishop g6, and he says probably, I want to oppose any knight f5 with bishop f5, which basically happened in the game. Although, after white captured by rook on f5, I immediately have to say that the advantage of the bishop pair and of the open file, f-file here, is becoming pretty big and serious advantage for white. So after b5, he now played queen g3. Look how slowly he's dragging all his pieces onto the king side. I especially like the fact that a guy was only 1700, but his way of simply developing this attack, dragging all his pieces onto the king side to attack, was very nice. The guy played c5, which I don't like because for the rest of the game he's gonna have problems with the light squares. And white played knight e5. Okay, he threatens c4 to win the piece. Maybe not even threatens to win the piece because you can take pawn takes and bishop a4. But okay, he just did c5. Probably he wanted to secure the position for the knight and to avoid d4 as well. After c5, knight jumps on d5. By jumping knight on d5, he threatens to take the piece, which means that he has to take. When he has to take, he now brings the bishop into the center of the board, threatens the rook with tempo, removing the knight from f6, and all of a sudden, you now have way better attack against the weak f7 square. The guy played rook c8, played rook a to f1, and rook c7. And this is an ideal type of the game, an example how should you conduct your games and attack in your games. So what was white doing in this game? He was all the time developing himself, dragging slowly and transferring all his pieces onto the king side, and eventually, what's the outcome? Outcome is that the f7 is weak, king is weak, potentially g7 in some bishop h6 or bishop d4 ideas when he plays d4. And there is one more thing. Only good piece in white's game is in black's game is the knight on e5. And now, what is he doing? Playing d4 and trying to remove the knight from e5. Very well and very clever. He tries to remove the knight from e5. Black plays king h8, and there we go. The first puzzle for you for today. I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds. Let's go. White moves and wins. Okay, I gave you like a couple of seconds. For all of you who found the next move, congratulations, and it's the move rook takes f7. Da-da-da-da. Why rook f7? If knight takes f7, you just deliver checkmate. If rook takes f7, you once again use this kind of a thing because knight cannot capture it because of queen g7. And immediately get ready for the second puzzle, because after rook f7, black played rook g8. Pause the video, stop it here, give yourself some time, and try to find the following beautiful combination by white. Let's go. White moves and wins. Okay, guys, for all of you who found the beautiful queen sack, congratulations. And that's exactly how the 1700 finished the game. Played queen g7, believe it or not. So after rook takes g7, he goes with the rook takes, rook jumps on f8, and after bishop f8, rook takes f8, rook g8, and he delivered checkmate with these three pieces. And this is a spectacular finish in the game played in Leverkusen, Germany, 2005, between Dramiga playing white and Speck playing black. Hope that you enjoyed this presentation, and thanks so much. All the best.